tonight is about educating you on how to work with effects and stunts on set, so that you won't be intimidated if you have the opportunity to put effects or stunts into a production. You won't feel like you don't know anything. You'll feel like you know enough to get started. That's the goal. There are many new faces here this evening, and that's awesome. One of the great parts about this group and this kind of event is that we see new faces, and a little tiny personal story. I kind of owe the fact that I'm still surviving to the networking and the contacts that I've made in this group, and that's why I'm standing up here and volunteering to be president, because I believe in the power of the help of the people around you. So with that being said, I would like this, we don't usually do this, but I would like to have the folks who, this is their first meeting, I would like to have you stand up and introduce yourself very briefly, just so that we can all see a name and a face, and hopefully later on in the evening we can network and shake hands and meet people. So, start it off. Stand up anyway.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Lamb. I've been in the local video production business for years on the corporate side. Now I'm back out freelancing, producer, writer, director, location scout, stage manager.
All right.
Hi, my name is Charles Mays. I'm primarily an actor, but trying to get more into behind the camera. I led my team for my first 48-hour film project, and then had such a good time participating in LA and Inland Empire, and trying to learn as much as I can behind the scenes as well.
Charles became a member of SDMediaPros this week. Thank you, Charles. They're in the process of signing up for a
in between seasons and when we're not traveling. I have a travel series called We Can Explore that we provide free to PBS nationally and now airs in more than 30 foreign countries. And I'm just about set up to do a documentary in Brazil going down the Roosevelt River for a month with a Brazilian expedition team from the Special Forces and some scientists. So that should be fun as well. So,
My name is Frank Carl. I'm with SkyScene. We're an aerial imaging company. Using the dirty word, the drones, but we have really nice stuff. Two-man teams, pilots, cameramen, that type of thing. If anybody needs any aerial imaging, we're your guys. Okay? Thank you.
I'm Andy Levison. I just became a member a couple of weeks ago. I'm a Steadicam operator and I have been for the last 12 years. I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary living in San Diego. And I want to put out an offer to you. Anybody who has a production company, I will do a half-day shoot for you, no charge, to just get acquainted with you. So that's all I have.
Went into live television for a while, and I realized filming is what I love. So I'm trying to get back into it and find out who the local people in San Diego are. And it's great to get paid jobs, but I'm willing to do some free jobs to learn some things. So.
Then we're going to do a shot out there. We're going to shoot that shot. Then we're going to come back in here. We're going to do a stunts presentation with Brady Hawk. We're going to do an effects presentation with Kevin Bruckner. Or Brodemeyer. Kevin Brodemeyer. Trust me, it doesn't. And then at the end of the evening, Kevin, are you going to?
Yeah, we're just going to step out here and show you.
At the end of the evening, he's going to show you some pyro stuff out here. Fire. Shit, blow it up. So, as you get over to the set, you'll notice that there are lights set up. Those lights have been provided by the folks at Video Gear. I apologize. I forgot you were here, honestly. Martin Banks from Video Gear. I called Martin today and said, hey, can I come and borrow some lights? And he said, sure. Take whatever you want, come over and pick it out. That's the kind of guy he is for supporting us. Additionally, he's been working behind the scenes on a number of different projects to improve the film community in San Diego. And his continued efforts are not in vain. He and the people he's bringing into that project are making a difference for the future of film. And at some point, I'll be able to say what bad all is.
You can plug SanDiegoCrew.com.
I can plug SanDiegoCrew.com, which is a website that Martin has put together so that you can go there, put your name in a database of people who can be crew members or crew members for shoots that come into town. But I'm not going to promote that. I'm going to promote that Martin has a grip truck, and it's turnkey. You make a phone call, it arrives at your set. You're ready to shoot. It's awesome.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome. Whatever. I'm going to do some tips and tricks. I try to make each meeting have something for everybody, so if you're not into stunts and effects, maybe this will be helpful to you. Creativity. When you're dealing with a project with a client, listen to the client. The client knows more about their business than you do. Something they may say about how their knowledge of their client base may spark something in there. So don't just write based on what you think they need. Listen to their needs very carefully because they know what their customers are thinking. Producing. Get insurance. It may sound simple, but insurance not only provides you with coverage in case of emergency, and you won't lose your house and your car and your dog. It also provides you with credibility, and you get to have permits in San Diego with an insurance certificate. Directing. Watch other people's work, but also watch other genres that are different from yours. So if you're doing medical videos, don't just go out and look on the web for other medical videos or look at what has been done in the past. Look at other videos and see how they treated their subject. And maybe there's a way you can turn the way you're treating your subject on its ear based on how somebody else has done that with some other subject. When you're only looking at medical videos, your database for creativity gets small. Cinematography. Let something blow out to white. Let something in your frame be blown out to white. I went to a cinematography workshop up in LA many, many years ago, and one of the directors of photography gave me that tip, and I never thought about it then. I had never thought about it prior to that, but when something blows out to white, when something is, one little piece of your frame is blown out to white, like a backlight or a reflection in a window, that tells you that the world is a little bit out of control and real. If everything's too inside the specs, it tends to look like it's photographed and lit and prepared. And there's something real about that unpreparedness of having something blow out. Equipment. You should see the freaking lights we got over there. They're plasma lights. They're hive lights that Martin has given us. And they're freaking awesome. They're this big and they're pumping out light like you wouldn't believe. Please ask Martin about them because I don't want to tell you. Editing. When I shoot with the DSLR, which means I'm recording audio separately. When I go into editing and sync a clip, I'll color correct that clip. I'll go into the synced clip and color correct the piece of video so that wherever I use that synced clip, it will already be color corrected. That way I don't have to color correct the individual edits afterwards.
Can I put an added on that? If you're doing it in Final Cut 10, once you color correct that clip, turn the color correction off and edit away, because then your timeline's not going to want to render it. And then all you have to do is go back to that clip and turn it back on. So it's a sync clip, color correct it, turn it off, throw it all over the place on your timeline, then go back to the sync clip at the end and turn it back on. You won't have to worry about renders while you're editing.
Brilliant, thank you. Compositing. When you're playing with text, are you sick of drop shadows? Simple drop shadows? Well, try some other things. If you look at Photoshop, for example, put text up and do the layer styles, you can emboss text. You can try a bevel. I end up beveling text quite a bit because it has a look that nobody else is doing that I know. Voiceover. Record a stereo version. Yes.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yes.
A lot of people do not realize that our audience includes people with disabilities. A lot of these people want a lot of white surrounding what they're reading. A lot of them have difficulties focusing on one thing at a time, and with a lot of the flash that's going on right now, they're completely missing the content. If you're not going to cater to them, you're losing some of that audience that would otherwise be there, support you, maybe even ask for your services. Please keep these people in mind.
All right. Well done. Voiceover, record a stereo version with the pan turned a little to the right. So the right channel will be a little hotter and the left channel will be a little less. So that if the right channel gets too hot at some point, you'll have a safety in the left channel. If you have tips, tricks, or production horror stories, I didn't do my production horror story. Ordinarily, I start with a production horror story, and here it is. Last year, I was doing a commercial for Mission Fed. We were shooting in Mission Bay. It turns out that there are crazy people at Mission Bay. We have a shot with a happy couple riding their bike down the boardwalk, and right behind them is a group of homeless people. Our producer went over to ask them if they could step 30 feet down so we could get a shot without them in the shot. Before he even got to them, a woman started screaming at him in obscenities. A long diatribe. Fortunately, we were shooting without sound, and if you look very closely in the commercial, they're back there. They screamed she screamed for the entire time we were there. It got to the point where we were doing another shot, and we were walking past. She kept screaming, I've been living in Mission Beach for 50 blanking years. Over and over again, she yelled this. So it got to the point where we were carrying equipment down the beach. Every time we were past, we would go, how long have you been here? Awesome. If you have tips, tricks, or production horrors, please send them to me at president@SDMediapros.org. Also, we have a little video that's not playing currently, but it plays over here before every meeting to show your work. If you want to show your work to the rest of the people in the group, just email me, president@SDMediaPros.org, a 1-minute clip of your work, and it'll end up there at the next meeting. If you're a member. If you're not a member. Mark Mason is now going to tell you news you can use.
This is our new feature. If it works, we'll keep using it. If it doesn't, we will abandon immediately. Just 3 little tidbits about the news. On July 29, 2014, faced with the possible extinction of the material that made Hollywood famous, a coalition of studios chose to deal with Eastman Kodak in the business of producing movie film. The negotiations that were secret until then are expected to result in an arrangement where studios promise to buy a set quantity of film for the next several years, even though most movies and television shows these days are shot on digital video. So I don't know if you knew that. It's a special story arrangement with Hollywood and Kodak. Kodak will continue to make film. Since the heyday of film to now, they've dropped like 97% of film. It's it, and they're the only ones left making film. So it's a big deal. Quentin Tarantino and those guys, Apatow, big fans of film. So film is still being made and bought, just not being used, according to the story. September 4th, on a little tidbit that Mr. Tao thought he would like to share. It's a short headline, but with immense impact on the broadcast and post-production industry, BBC has chosen Final Cut Pro 10 as its NLE for news editing. It's BBC. Those guys know what they're doing over there. That's their editor choice. And the French Final Cut Pro website, Yak Yak Yak, it's actually true. I looked it up, thought it was a misspelling, when they're translated. Yak 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 is also using it, the TF1. So for your Final Cut Pro fans, there you go. We got the BBC and France backing you up there. You can always call those guys. And then to counteract the Kodak, just a couple days ago, Arri announced the Alexa 65, a new 65mm large format version of its popular Alexa camera that supports resolutions up to 6.5K. They teamed with manufacturer Codex for a new codec, and according to Arri, Christopher Nolan and DP Wally Pfister especially have something to cry over in the next few weeks, as Arri is set on putting the final nail in the coffin of celluloid that no studio-backed save Kodak film effort can preserve. Arri is beating film into its final stronghold. Large format acquisition is definitely going to hurt celluloid evangelists, as the aforementioned few had mentioned. So anyway, you've got 65 now, 6.5 in an Arri camera, something like 14 stops. It's an insane amount of range, and that's coming next. So real tidbits of news that you can use and impress your friends and neighbors. Yay!
One last thing, the MCA CAI Media Festival is going on. They're taking submissions. It's a great opportunity to have your work judged by professionals, your peers in other cities, and see how your work compares to other professional work. It's at the website mca-i.org, which is the international association that SDMediaPros is a local chapter. Yay, everything's done on my paper. I can go outside and shoot something. Let's head on out. I will leave you over there.
Watch your step. We're going to have jury. Go ahead.
So we wanted to, a big part of this meeting is not only to see the special effects, but understand how to work with special effects. In special effects and stunts. So we made a single shot that we're going to do that will have special effects and stunts in it. Here's what's going to happen. Andy is somewhere around here. Andy is our stuntman. Andy will come to this wall, and he'll come running around, and somebody will be in front of the camera who will shoot at him. He's going to duck back here to safety. He's going to come out and shoot 3 blanks, and duck back. He's going to come out and shoot 3 blanks again. At that point, our guy over there is going to be shooting back at him. He's going to throw a grenade over here. Andy's going to see the grenade land somewhere over here, and he's going to run. When he gets to about here, Kevin is going to trigger I just realized that somebody took my picture in this pose. Kevin is going to trigger that thing. Okay? That thing is going to blow up. I don't know what that thing is called. I should probably know that, huh?
It's called an IED simulator.
An IED simulator. It's going to blow up and throw debris this way.
All of you standing across from that? Just like the high splash zone at SeaWorld.
Okay. There's a lot of dust. Good to know. Thanks. I'm warning you now, there's a lot of dust. That's going to blow. He's going to dive and land below the camera.
You left off Braden shooting Sparky hits against the wall.
Oh, and who's
Braden's going to be the other effects guy.
A gun over here, and it's what kind of gun is that?
Basically a dust gun.
A dust gun.
Modified maybe it shoots in circles.
It's an air rifle.
Yeah, this particular one's like a paintball marker. It's been modified. It's not a normal paintball gun. It's a machine gun mode on it.
Okay.
Its official Hollywood name is a Titman gun.
It's a Sweeney.
The Sweeney gun.
Okay. More information than we need. He's going to be shooting dust hits over here as when our stuntman over here is firing. He's going to be firing rounds into this stuff over here to make it look like bullets are hitting. Okay. So we're going to I'd like to bring Kevin and Braden over here and briefly discuss how we set this up and what the constraints are for a set and a crew. So when you're working on something like this,
Andy.
Do you have a safety meeting first?
We always have a safety meeting first.
Okay, let's talk that way, real loud.
And we always have a safety meeting first, and when it comes to stunts and special effects, stunts rules. He's the guy getting blown up. So we kind of we tell him what we want to do, and you can tell him what you want as the director of photography or whatever. But in the end, it's his call.
Right.
So.
And when we were out here trying to figure out what to do, one of the first conversations I had with him, I said, "This is your baby. I'm going to have to figure out how to work around what you need me to do." When I've worked with stunt people or with effects people in the past, there are things that they can't do or things that they won't do, and they'll tell you that, and you work around their constraints because the stakes get a whole lot higher when you're working around stunts and effects. People can get hit, hurt, stuff can blow up and injure people, and you don't want those things to happen. So these guys rule, you work around their constraints. What would you cover in a safety meeting?
Basically, in regards to the crew, normally we have audiences are stood way back. So basically, as you as audience spectators, we might have extras milling about for the safety crew wise. We have
the standoff is very fine for here, what we're doing for the effect. We have blank fire, so there is a hot blank weapon on set. We don't use real weapon, we use blank weapons only on set. So what we end up doing, we already did a blocking rehearsal that tells all of our crew what we're doing, so all the stunt performers and all the action performers know exactly where they're going, where they're going to be, the firefight, and so on. In this case, it's only going to be one shot, one angle, correct? From here to this direction.
That's correct.
So normally you'd shoot, let's say, a person coming from over here. We have Andy over here come up and bang, 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 and then you do a turnaround. You have your point of view. So so you have basically that direction, and you have to turn it around. In this case, we're doing one shot direction only. So in this case, it's all basically pre-rehearsed. So safety-wise, we're good to go.
Okay, cool. What are the general constraints? What are the general things that people have to think about very briefly when dealing with having a stunt?
It's basically, as a stunt coordinator, I talk to my stunt performers, people with guns. They're not all stunt performers. We have actors with guns, and then we have weapons wranglers that come in that talk to them how to use weapons. Let's say they shoot something, they never aim directly on, they're aiming off center. Let's say they get a jam, they don't just go bang, 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 it means cut, and they hold the gun up, so there's those things. So everybody knows that we're on the same page. So my crews all know if there's a misfire, a jam, cut, they don't just keep going wasting, in this case, video. So.
Very good. Is there anything you'd add to that in terms of a safety meeting or preparation of the crew or in your discussions with a director?
No, we just try and get a feel for what the shot needs to be and make it as big and as good as we can.
All right, cool. I brought a smoke machine because I wanted to have smoke blowing through, and we're in a unique vortex where no matter where I put the smoke machine, it blows away from the set.
However, it's generally going that way, so if you think you're safe from the splash zone, you will meet Mr. Dust.
Now keep in mind, everybody, please, also for a safety concern. In this case, you go back, your standoff is fine. He is going to be shooting a blank gun kind of downwards and so on, but when the device goes off, we have over here, as part of the scene, we have a lifter with some cork and some debris that'll blast in the air. It'll look spectacular. You can literally, I do these all the time where I stand right in front of it and blow myself up to show people how safe it is. It looks great, but it's very safe as long as you're not facing into it. The point is, all of you could be very, let's say, get dusted. So if you have cameras or things you don't want to get dust on you, it could settle on you, just so you know. Cameras and that kind of stuff. I always tell people that's my get out of cleaning up your stuff, speech. So, yes, sir.
You using full load blanks?
Yeah, these are full load blanks, so I get ready to next. Yeah, exactly. So I started to say for dust-wise, the bone's not going to be very loud, but we have blanks. So if you want to do the cheap earplugs, you can do this. If you feel like you have sensitive ears, you can hold your fingers in your ears. But, glass-wise, you're good to go. But just keep in mind, there are blank fire. Okay, there's going to be a total of 6 shots, and there's also going to be 1 in both. Okay?
So let's do a very slow walkthrough, just so we can all make sure that we're on the right path, because I don't want to blow anything up until I need to.
Remember, Andy, finger up straight. This is a walkthrough rehearsal.
Okay, Gail, scoot to your right. A 1 inch more. And further away from me. That's where I want you. Okay, that's lovely. Okay, rehearsing, and half speed, action. Bang, bang, bang.
Pop, pop, pop.
Bang, bang, bang.
Pop, pop, pop.
Boom.
Okay, rehearsal complete.
Yay!
Andy, you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, you're good with that, Gail? KB, you good with that?
I'm good to go.
Okay, so
My only thing is I wish I had a Kukaloris to break up the light on that wall, but the effects are awesome. Ready to try?
effects are hot.
Okay.
Well, this effect is hot.
Pyro's hot.
Okay. Andy,
Yeah.
weapons are hot. Fire in the hole. 6 shots.
Okay, here we go. Camera is speeding. Action!
Great job. Great job.
It smells like victory.
Everybody good? Everybody good? All effects are good?
That was awesome! From a director's standpoint, in my discussions with Braden and Kevin, they want to make my vision come true. They want my, excuse me, they want me to get what I want. And if they can't make it happen exactly the way I'm seeing it, they're going to try and figure out a way to make it work somehow.
Yeah, like 24.
They're gonna, they know their specialty much more than I know their specialty, so I have to rely on them to figure that out. And as soon as Braden gets here, he's gonna start talking about stunts. And you'll kind of see what the specialty is about.
Kevin can go too if you want.
I can go film.
Well, you're here.
I'm here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Brueggemeyer. No.
I just made an extra $10. I'm so happy.
There's Braden.
You want to go? You want me to go?
Oh, please.
All right.
I'm resting.
Well, you need to. You did shoot that big, heavy air gun.
Take one, pass him down.
Take one, pass it down. There's probably not enough to go around, but Mary Ann has it, so she can email it to you. Okay. Thanks for inviting us because we love the process too. Okay, so Matt's been on a movie set for too many years because we're too busy running a company called Fireworks America we started 20 years ago. So,
By the way, excuse me, these guys set 2 Guinness records this past week.
there we go.
One of them was for the longest.
Most fireworks shot off a single fuse.
Most fireworks shot off a single fuse, and what was the other one?
The other one was most sparklers lit off a single chain. It was the House Casino sponsored it, and we got to play. So
Yay!
It's on there.
okay. So other than it's cool. Oh, how many people in here always pull a film permit and have insurance? Okay, it's nice to meet you too. Okay. And so we have some people that do guerrilla filmmaking, and that's kind of where I've geared my thing, how we can help you there. Why do you do special effects?
Production value.
What's that?
Production value, realism.
To make it real, to make it believable. We make stuff believable. That's all we do. If we make it too big, we turn it into a cartoon. So please make sure that you give us a chance to make it real. Okay?
Or Michael Bay's film.
Okay. Pyrotechnics are things that are burn independent of the Earth's atmosphere. Okay? So fireworks burn independent of the Earth's atmosphere. The thing that blew up that pot out there and threw all that dust, that burns independent of the Earth's atmosphere. You have to have a license to handle those in the state of California. Okay? Some of them are bigger and badder, and you have to have a federal license to handle them as well. Okay? So everything that's pyrotechnic requires a license. You cannot do pyrotechnics yourself. You can go out and do campfires yourself if you want, but you cannot do pyrotechnics without it. The other non-pyro effects, campfires, flame, wind, rain, and special effects by definition is done by union contract. So Local 44 goes and negotiates with the producers union, and they came up with what special effects guys do. You're doing all the other effects yourself, the wind and the, okay, so you know how to do it. All right, so there's 2 models of how to do it, all right? And I'm a serial entrepreneur and have been my whole life, so I always try and figure out how people are making money and get in on the gig. With Hollywood, you form your film company, you buy liability insurance, okay? You hire a payroll company, they generally provide you your workers' comp, or you go get an independent workers' comp policy, and then you hire all the necessary professionals. So, if I go work in Hollywood, I sign a deal memo, I'm working for your production company, and you're paying me my day rate, okay? And that's how that's going to work, and you're going to cover my workers' comp. There's never a question about what happens. Then there's what you guys are doing, the artistic film school, maybe guerrilla, kind of 24-hour film festival challenging thing where you don't necessarily have all that stuff. And so there's ways to work around that. So for the non-pyrotechnic stuff, you're doing that. You can do flame without a pyrotechnician depending on where you are. Los Angeles requires a Class 3 special effects license, all right, which is the lowest you can be in the special effects world. They require that. A blank gun, by law in the state of California, requires a special effects licensee, Class 3 special effects, but nobody enforces the blank thing. And you can just go out and start your own campfire if you want. I know a guy who did that back in 2003 and started the Cedar Fire and spent 6 months in jail. You know, so, and his liability insurance didn't help him at all. Okay? Special effects guys make. Usually bringing out a Class 3 guy makes about $350 a day as an apprentice. A Class 2 guy will make between $500 and $600, and a Class 1 guy or coordinator will make $600 to $900. So there's workarounds to all that, but that's kind of their day rates. Am I close there, Eddie? I haven't worked in Hollywood for a long time, so. But I know most of my Class 1 special effects buddies that are going out and doing commercials, making about $650 a day. So that's how that works. We get the powder, we mark it up, we sell it to you. You're running your own film production company. And so that's, and we know the trick about petty cash. So we don't buy any supplies and we show up on set and we say, we need supplies. So we send a PA, we send a PA out to get supplies. All right. You can work around by hiring somebody that has their own insurance and licenses. All right? For example, Fireworks America has its own insurance. If you call me up and say, I want to do an effect, I'm not going to ask you if you have a film permit because I just don't care. That's not my job. I come with my own insurance, my own workers' comp, okay? And I pull a permit and I say, here's where the people's going to be, here's where the actors are going to be, and I submit that to the fire department. And so now, at least for the special effects, there's liability insurance. It doesn't cover the crew, it doesn't cover the camera guy, it doesn't cover the stunt guy necessarily, although there's like Braden's on my payroll all the time as a pyrotechnician, so we could put Braden on our workers' comp if we had to. So there are workarounds for that. But there's cheaper ways to be able to get that done. So if you really need a pyrotechnic special effect, you can do it. And that would be less. That might be $800 to $1,000 a day. That includes the technician, the product, depending what you wanted to do. Okay? And if we're really involved and we enjoy it, remember, we like the process. When I go on a movie set, the first thing I do is run to the grip truck and say hello to all my old friends. And it's not the grips. You know, I love C-stands, flags. Yeah. I love C-stands so much, I bought 3 of them just because they're cool. I don't have anything to do with them, but I have them. So, you know, we enjoy the process too. If you call us up and invite us, we just might show up to come along and hold the light or whatever. And somewhere along the line, we can network at places like this and maybe get it for you a little bit cheaper. You can keep the cost down by being specific. If you can send me a storyboard or a sketch of what you want, then I can design an effect. Now we're going to show you some rock and rolling movie effects later. If you call me up and say, hey, I want one of those, it's just going to drive me insane because it's a creative process for us. So I might throw in 4 of those if I think it's really fun. Because, well, seriously, the product is free. The money is in getting the insurance and the guy there and the permit and all that kind of stuff. All right? Be specific about when you want it. If we're going to come out and do you a solid, don't keep me waiting 12 hours while you set up the shot. Go in and get the shots set. We'll come in and we'll do the boom. All right? So you need to know what you want and when you want it. All right? And we need lead time. Don't call me on Monday and say, hey, tomorrow I need a permit, I need insurance, and I need 2,700 effects. Well, I got to ship those effects in from somewhere. Hazardous shipping. It takes time and it's expensive. So you need to be able to plan ahead.
What's an appropriate lead time?
An appropriate lead time for us would be probably, the state says a minimum of 10 days. If it's something that's in our back pocket, we can like one of those dust hits, we can do that faster. But, you know, the fire department never likes to be pressured or rushed. So they like 10 days, they'll do it faster. I mean, we pulled the permit for this on Friday, I think. So, Thursday. So, but they knew it was coming. And so they're not here. So this particular thing in insurance cost us $168 per month. And the fire marshal didn't show up. So that's fairly reasonable. That'll be added onto your bill.
They charge if they show up.
Yeah.
The minimum of 4 hours.
And when they come out to inspect, you know, if you pull a film permit, they're coming out to inspect the movie set. And it's like you and a camera and 2 lights. I mean, really. You know, they have their checklist. They want to inspect the catering truck. Well, it's that blue cooler over there. So knock yourself out. So that all came from somewhere, and I think it's just their ability to charge money. LA is a marvelous place, though. I can call them at 10 in the morning and do a huge explosion at 2 in the afternoon. They are made to be able to crank out film permits. And so, just depends on where you are.
If I make that real quickly regarding the fees and talk about them, you were saying this particular permit for this was $160-something. It wasn't for the 5 minutes that we were out there. It covers a large span, like all day. So it happened to be this is a very short production now, but you can start at 07 and go to 23, go to 11 at night or later on that same permit for the same amount of money. Depends on what it is. It's not just for 5 minutes. Oh, it's $200 for 5 minutes. It's not like that.
My permit is only covering the effects we're doing. We're not covering the film. Okay, so it's not a film permit. Now there's some houses in LA that have their own insurance and stuff like that. I think Real Effects will hire techs and send them out and actually insure the job. So, and they have, you know, all the big toys, the wind machines and all that kind of stuff. I have no idea what they charge.
Regarding not being visited by the fire marshal, is that because they know you already and trust you, or is it just
We never know if they're coming or not. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. In this case, we shoot on this lot all the time. And so they know the area, they know what's going on here. We blow up Marines here, I don't know, 20 times a month probably. So they're aware of what's going on here. So it's probably a little bit easier here. But generally, if I give them lead time and I say we're going to be here at this time and we're going to blow this particular device and here's my map, they don't want to work overtime. So they really don't. So. Okay, think small in relationship to where you want to shoot it. All right, maybe you're shooting your whole film in an office building in downtown San Diego. And you want to do some sparky hits and a bullet hit on an actor. And then we can just go do a bullet hit in any old building in Hamul, can't we? And a permit in Hamul is a lot cheaper and easier than a permit in San Diego. And it's just a pickup shot to you, right? This is, B-roll. So, and you can do it, if you're going to do a big explosion in a field and it's a weedy field, you can hook up the weeds. So you can save yourself money by doing some of it. Yes?
What would happen if somebody asked you to come out of your distribution? Like, say they want to hire you in Oregon.
If they want to
Hire you in Oregon.
in Oregon?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Oregon's laws are. I think filming they're fairly loose. I know for fireworks this place is really complicated. But yeah, all these guys travel. So all these street, like Eddie back there is a street car. Your hand up there. Eddie Ross is a street car. He's got a lot of effects, and they all travel. And we hire them.
So your
We will
insurance,
travel. I've got an office in Idaho.
so your insurance and everything is covered for
Correct.
filming in Oregon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Liability insurance does not cover actors and crew. I've written that down here twice. Okay? It's not a mistake because they don't. Does anybody know who Margaret Hamilton and Betty Danko are? Tell me. Okay, Margaret Hamilton was the Wicked Witch of the West. And Betty Danko was her stunt double. And they both got burned shooting the witch in the villa of whatever they are laying on. Yes, but the Munchkin had it. They both got burned in the entrance and exit of that Munchkin. Okay? So I'm showing up with liability insurance, and if you're going to hire somebody to be an actor, you need to think about ways around, because if I show up and you've hired somebody who's broken down as me to be the stunt guy, I'm going to look at that and go, probably not a great idea. But you can use your lenses to do a lot of cool effects. Now you can compress that shot. I could put an explosion way behind somebody, like 40, 50, 60 feet behind them, and you can compress that shot with a camera lens so it looks like they're right in it. I mean, it's amazing. Or you can do a flame this big in front of the lens, and it looks like the whole place is on fire. It can get cartoony, you have to be a little bit careful with it, but you can sell a shot like that, and that's what we're doing, is we're making it real and believable. Or there can be all kinds of action in the background, and there's a poof of smoke in the foreground. And you sold what you had to sell. So there's a lot of workarounds, and you need to be open to it. Okay? So use the camera to do it. And lastly, invite us to come play. You know, we just love that. I'll probably join. How much does it cost?
For you, nothing. I'll pay for you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
It is $80 a year.
Oh, I can afford $80 a year. So we'll probably join. And, you know, if you got a project that's not just special effects, but sounds like fun, you know, we have a shooting location.
Oh, we're going to have a project already.
We're going to have a chat about liability insurance. Don't bring children because they can sue me for the next 20 years. And really, I've only already got something like that. So that's kind of what it costs and where we're going. I think we could do some guerrilla stuff cheaper than that, and still do it legally. And don't do it yourself. Yes.
So when he yelled cut, how long would it take you to reset and be ready for the next take?
I have to tell you a story. The very first commercial I ever did in Hollywood was a thing for a Toyota car, and it was a big thing. We had what we call a Sept. It was fireworks, and it spelled out Toyota. So it was my very first movie thing, and I rolled up and I went, oh my God. I looked, and there's cameras, and there's people, and there's catering, and I'm going, God, this is costing $100,000 a minute. Oh my God. So I got my crew together, and I went, all right, here's the deal. When he yells cut, we're going to run up there, we're going to drop the C-stands, we're going to put the new thing up, we're going to rig this, we're going to pre-rig that. I think we can turn it in like 10, 15 minutes tops. So we had to hire a car, because I didn't have the right car. And the guy goes, no, you're not. I go, no, God, look at this. It's costing hundreds of thousands of dollars a minute. There's cameras, and there's people, and there's this, and there's that. And he goes, no, they're going to wait. They expect to wait. They'll get paid while they're waiting. So the bottom line is, we're not making thousands of dollars on this job. It's not a union gig. We're going to turn it as fast as we possibly can. State law, actually, there's a law that requires producers to give us enough time to do it safely. And so we could turn that effective. You know, we could probably turn that in 15, 20 minutes, probably faster, but I'll tell you, say 15, 20 minutes, because that's a very simple effect. There's more involved and we'll take longer. So.
Okay, so I'm going to play this back and you can watch it. Maybe. Okay, so here it is in slow-mo. Hopefully you can see it. If not, I will show it to you afterward. Here it comes. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, ding, ding. Bang, bang, bang. Ding, ding, ding.
Let's slow, Braden. Now look at this grenade throw.
Perfect.
Right into the pyrotechnic. I almost didn't fire.
Nice.
So there's your whiteout on your thing, and if we put a propane thing with it that we're going to show you afterwards, you'll get guaranteed whiteout on it. On your camera.
Cool.
Next is Braden. Braden is on stage, and then at the end, I want to bring both of them up here and answer questions again. So, go, Braden, go!
I'm running. It's an old stun guy. What do you do? All right, good evening. Thank you so much again for having me. My name is Braden Hawk, stunt coordinator and a stuntman for many years, starting on shows from like back in the A-Team, Airwolf, doing straight to DVD movies, motion pictures, straight to DVD movies, porn. Yes, even porn. Yeah, so you name it, we've done it. So it was all a clean shoot. So anyway, but I'm here basically going to talk a little bit about stunts and the importance of using stunt professionals. I'm not actually going to be up here to teach you how to do stunts, but basically the importance of basically seeking professionals, stunt coordinators, stunt performers for different types of action sequences you might have in your productions. We're talking about money real quick. We do a lot of guerrilla shooting, a lot of student film type stuff, straight to DVD shows, so they're not thousands of dollars for the performers and so on. We work around your budget. So if you ever have anything you'd like us to do for you on your productions, please give us a call. We'll be happy to work something out for you. A lot of times I've coordinated stuff over the phone, helping them with a cat fight or things like that. So anyway, so the main thing, the most important thing I want to share right now is always seek professional assistance, as in a stunt coordinator, stunt crew, and so on. Now some things you can have stunt coordinators and stunt performers do, when you're talking about basic things like fights and so on. You can have your actors do fights as long as you have a coordinator choreographing. Because stunt, like fighting, there's all types of barroom fights and so on. But a lot of times you have your featured, your featured actors, and then you have your stunt crew and so on. But a lot of times the featured actors, they're in there swinging along with everybody else. But there'll be a lot of bloodied up actors if everybody were making contact. So it's all about the art of the sell of the hit, eye contact and so on. So Andy, real quick, we're not going to do a big fight, but I just wanted to give you a quick idea about angles real quick to show. Picture all of you are now director of photography. You're all camera people now, okay? So it's all about angles. So for example, and it's about contact between he and I, or eye contact always. So for example, if we're doing a fight and you're looking at the cameras like this, you're looking at this angle. So if I'm doing this, you can see a lot of air, okay? So you see air. But if I go across his face, see, it looks different. So, or if we change it this way, 90 degrees, now I'm going across his face. See the difference? You see it looks more realistic. You add sound effects and so on. But the idea, I'm this far away from his face. Camera can't pull distance. I'm not actually clocking him with my hand. I'm not hitting him. You see these fights that look like they're beating the heck out of each other. No one's touching anybody. That's all about angles. So we get a lot of actors that are hitting each other, and usually there are a lot of the actors that are wearing these huge monstrous rings, and they're going across your face and hitting each other. So you do not need to touch each other at all. It's all about just the art of the sell of the illusion. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah. Okay, but the bottom line, if you have a coordinator, someone to block that, out for you, and your actors, like I said, all of you literally could do a fight without hurting each other. Do it just in shooting. You have a camera, you can do shooting just like that. It works out very, very nicely.
Can I interject?
Please.
I taught my 4-year-old daughter how to do a stage punch like that. And we went out in the front yard as my wife is coming into the driveway, and I'm kneeling in the front yard, and she sees my daughter go, my back. And what sold it was my daughter giggling hysterically.
It said never laid a hand on you, right?
Yeah. She did a great job of it.
That was great. No, that's all about the safety part. Like I said, it's all the action reaction. Because if, let's say Andy's eyes were closed and he didn't sell the hit when I went across his face like this, then he'd just stand there. It's all about my action, his reaction. But the bottom line is you have a professional in there showing you what to do with those people. You don't have to have stunt people and spend a lot of money when you could literally, each and every one of you could be in your own movie as your own fighters. That's the way it works. So in stunts, and they're basically also called gags. So in stunts, there's lots of different things. There's fights, there's falls, high falls, basically falling over a table. And remember, stunts are not for everyone. When it comes to falling and stuff, people get hurt. Some of you people will get hurt falling out of bed. So not picking on you, that's just the way it is. But when you see a scene where someone's running through a mall, they bump some old person and knock them down, that wasn't an extra they knocked over. That was actually a stunt performer, some older guy or gal, or sometimes kids, adults, or whatever. They're all people that are flying over the escalator and stuff. They're all stunt people who are bumped, but they know how to fall. Rolling down stairs and all that stuff, the way it works. So you have basically lots of different things. There's burns, there's driving, there's horse gags, being drugged by cars, and all these different types of things, but it's very specialized and very different, each stunt. So when it comes to, let's say, a burn, there's certain people, you have safety crews, very, very important. Some people, which is very, very dangerous, they try to do these burns on themselves, thinking they watch it on movies, and I'm not kidding you. And you hear probably many times about people being burned up on their own by trying these things. Thing is, they'll pour soak their clothes in water and think, okay, the water will protect me. Then their buddy pours gasoline on them and so on. And then now that water is now a steam burn. Now you're a vegetable. And so the point is you have stunt professionals that do these burns, because also when you're doing an arm burn or a back burn or a full body burn, when you're fully engulfed in flames, you're wearing special suits and gels. Thing is, you feel very claustrophobic. And they've had some people that they tried to have do their burns for their low budgets, and the person literally got set on fire. There's been not much of a safety people. As soon as they got set on fire, the person took off running because they were, oh my God, I'm on fire, and they had to tackle them to get them down and put them out. So that's not what you want. So you talk to our people. There's lots of procedures that we go through for our safety crews and so on. Okay, so it's all about hiring stunt professionals and permitting, making sure you have all the right permits in place for that, for regards to effects, as Kevin talked about. And also permits for your productions. Your productions are very important. It used to be the San Diego Film Commission, and now actually I'll call on Mike and Rand in regards to briefly on that when we're talking about production, let's say permitting. There's a site, basically it's a city site, is that correct?
You go to if you need a filming permit, you go to the San Diego Events Department. Same place you'd go to rent a gazebo in a park. So, and they don't have the knowledge of the film commission, what the film commission does. So if there are any other constraints, you have to hunt those other constraints down. If you need parking, if you need a curb blocked off, if you need police, you have to hunt that down.
And then also regarding, like, you have stunt professionals, you also have daredevils. I'm sure you've seen shows like Jackass, where the person's on a ladder on a roof, and they say, I'm a stunt professional, and he jumps off the roof, usually hits the deck, doesn't hit the pool, or they jump off the roof with a mattress strapped to the back of the self-professed stunt professionals. You do not want these people on your set, okay? That's because they don't know. Stunt coordinators, stunt performers, we plan for hours, weeks, days, months. I mean, massive planning goes in. If we're doing a car scene, we're lining up little matchbox and Hot Wheel cars every step of the way. For the burns, we have a blocking. If the person goes down here, here, and here, we have safety crews the whole way. So the difference of basically stunt professionals who plan and keep your sets and your personnel and your equipment safe versus daredevils or people who don't know you. You hire your brother-in-law, Billy Bob. Oh yeah, I'm the best stunt coordinator in the land. You hear that about him. Usually from him, that's what you hear. If you just go by that, then you can be in it for a major. We're talking about lawsuits and liability. And they will shut you down. You'll be paying for your life, for the rest of your life on these things. So that pretty much everybody understand that portion of it. Very, very important. So stunt coordinators, stunt people leave nothing to chance. We plan everything, the smallest detail, and like I said, that's most important. And then going into some of the other stuff, basically covers fight stuff, driving stuff, let me tell you a quick story. We were doing some weapon stuff here. We were using, as you saw, we used some blank gunfire out here. And you saw the gun I was using. It's also known as a Sweeney gun, a dust gun. That was a modified type of a Sweeney gun. Shoots a Sweeney dust ball, spark result ball. But as you saw, that little ball that shoots out of that gun is designed to hit a place and spark or make dust, give you the effect of a bullet hit. And you saw it on the video, so it looked pretty real, correct? Right. I got a call. I was actually at home on a ranch up in the mountains. I got a call from an actor that I'd worked with maybe a year earlier. He had my card, luckily. He was out in the desert working on a movie, and a low-budget movie. It was a student-type film, and they had gone out to the desert with a bunch of these students, and they had them hunkered down behind a rock, and they were shooting at them with the .22, trying to get sparks off of the rock. So he called me up, and my man said, "Hey Brady, you're supposed to, another thing that gun you had, I know they're producing sparks. This guy here is shooting at us with this rifle. It's a real rifle, and it's not working." I said, "Well, first of all, lead doesn't spark." Okay, so they were shooting this rock, literally trying to produce sparks. Plus, they were also putting everybody in harm's way and could kill somebody, even though it's a .22, but it's still a real gun. But trying with an effect, trying to produce an effect with the wrong thing. Does everybody visualize that? So the device is completely different than what you would want to use for something like that. So very true story. And also back to weapons safety. Always hire a weapons wrangler, stunt coordinators, and so on. to take care of your weapons, because they will talk to you, for example, it's a rubber gun, it's a dummy gun, doesn't do anything. Maybe unless you beat somebody up, it would take about an hour, but it doesn't shoot, it's all looks. But the idea is, when you have these, as you know, this gun right here could get me killed by police or a neighbor if I walked in the yard or aimed at the police, because it looks real, okay? So I was actually hired last minute to do a shoot in Coronado, and because they didn't have permits, nobody called me as a weapons wrangler or a stunt coordinator till last minute. These kids were actually students. They went as a favor to a liquor store that they knew a friend of theirs that owned a liquor store in Coronado. This is actually recorded, so this is actually a very true story. They were in the middle of it, was like 12 o'clock starting shoot. They were shooting all night, and these kids were actually in the liquor store in the middle of the night with guns, walking the front door, walking around. They all had guns, and it's just Coronado, any place not where you do no permits. People, apparently what happened is that I show up, and last but not least, I show up, and the kid's holding a real gun. I mean, a real gun. It was empty, but he was holding a real gun. So first thing I took it, and I said, this thing looks like more real than it should. And sure enough, it was a real empty weapon. So I immediately confiscated it, took it, put it in my lockbox, gave them a dummy gun, and said, first of all, do you have permits? Do you call anybody? No. And you could actually hear the sirens. All my life, you hear sirens come in. I said, and I was giving them a speech. I was just like this, telling guys, gals, you can't bring these guns. You have to have permits for things. Sure enough, a bicycle rider came by about 10 minutes, 5 minutes before I got there, saw these kids walking around the store with guns, called the Coronado PD, and of course, as soon as I get there, they show up. So I'm talking to everybody, guys, everybody walk out, they literally show up in the front, everybody come out here, so I literally to everybody. So put everything down. We walk out, we put our hands up, and walked out, literally, and I explained to the police officers that I'd gotten there, that there were no weapons on set except the dummy gun. Luckily, I removed that when I told them that. And they had no permits, because basically the weapons coordinator will contact the local jurisdiction. If you have a local, if you're rural, it's sheriff. If it's downtown, it's PD and so on. But nobody called anybody. It was a surprise. Those people could have got shot or a firefight because they thought they were robbing a liquor store. So that's how bad that went. And believe it or not, say a lot about Coronado PD. They actually let them continue to shoot without the permit, and then they knew that I was there at that point. Knew it was all on the up and up. It was a false alarm. No one got hurt, but they let them continue their shoot. So on at least a little bit of a happy note. So no one was hurt, the main thing. But the bottom line, that could have been really ugly. And then one last story about weapons. There was a guy that I was involved in this particular case where they were shooting on the border near San Ysidro in the rural area. And there was mostly students, low budget type project. And these kids were running back and forth across, I think, one of the major thoroughfares out there in the rural where the border patrol goes by. And I guess these kids were out there shooting this movie. They had dummy guns, but the director was hiding in the bushes doing things, and these kids were running across the street, and some traffic people going by, just cars, called the local people and saying, hey, there's some people out here running with guns. So border patrol shows up, no permits, they had nothing. And I find out later that apparently the director, after the patrol truck stopped, and said, everybody freeze, stop what you're doing. And the director literally comes out holding the gun. What are you guys doing? Come on, I'm shooting a movie. I mean, he's literally arguing with them as they're drawing on him. He's trying to tell them, I'm shooting a movie here. Come on, kind of thing. So they should have shot him out of spite. But anyway, but he was okay. I don't know what happened to the production. I hope they closed it down. I don't know exactly how it ended. Other though, it's a true story about the fact that what can happen when you, like I said, you're doing weapons without the right people or stunts without the right people. So now also when you're shooting, let's say blank fire in an area that's rural and it's basically it's called the weapons wrangler. You don't always need police presence or sheriff presence on the site. If you're shooting downtown, you call it local jurisdiction because you don't want a bunch of people running around where people see you. But even if you're shooting inside, you have neighbors. I live next to Mike, and he didn't know I was shooting anything. I'm shooting away, and man, he's probably having problems with his wife. Look at that. He would call the police, right? So these are problems. Next thing you know,
no, I've met the wife.
Yeah. So literally, so you don't know. I'm saying there's all these volatile things that can happen. So just because you're out of sight You understand? As long as you're out of sight of things doesn't mean it's safe. Always hire a weapons wrangler, stunt coordinator, so on, that can basically tell you, and they will contact that local jurisdiction, because you as filmmakers, are most of you looking to be directors and make films, I take it? So if you are doing that, you have enough on your plate with all the crews and all the things you already have, versus trying to think, oh gosh, I wonder if the police are going to show up. I wonder if we're going to get shot. I mean, all these things. I wonder if the stunt's going to go right. You know, all these things you don't have to worry about. If you hire the right people, you have your permits in place, you know, you have your coordinators in place, your safety people in place, it makes your things so much easier.
Can I interject?
Sure, please.
One of the, I've worked a number of times on low-budget films in LA, and one of the things that if there's a gun involved in the shoot, I tell whoever I'm working for, I reserve the right to walk off the set if you don't have a gun wrangler. The reason for that is that there was a period there where production was going to North Carolina 15 years ago, and Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son, was doing a film, and they had the guns handled by the prop people, and the gun wasn't going to be the gun was going from the prop person to a still photographer who was taking stills with the gun, and he wanted to get a shot of the gun facing the camera, but he could see that the chambers were empty, so he put bullets in the revolver's chambers and then photographed it. And then at some point somebody pulled the trigger, and he had pulled the gunpowder out of the shells and put the slug back in so that it looked right. But what happens there is there's still a little bit of gunpowder in there when somebody pulled it, and there was no gun wrangler. A gun wrangler, the first thing they would do in the morning when dealing with a gun is look at each weapon and make sure that there's no way that it can fire. And so there was no gun wrangler, there was a prop person. The prop person took the gun back, loaded it with blanks, handed it to the actor, they call action, Brandon Lee comes into the room, the actor fires the gun, Brandon Lee slumps to the floor convincingly, they roll, they cut, they wait for him to get up, and he doesn't. The blank fired enough force behind that bullet to shoot it out of the barrel and kill Brandon Lee, because they didn't have enough money in the budget to hire a gun wrangler for a day. When I'm on a set, and if there's a gun, there's going to be a gun wrangler. The stakes are just too high.
I was getting ready to.
Well, and even longer ago than that, because that was 20 years ago, was John Eric Hexum, who was...
That actually is not the gun wrangler's fault. The gun wrangler should have told him. John Eric Hexum was an actor on a TV show about models, and he had a gun, and he was goofing around behind the scenes, and he had blanks in his gun, and he fired it like this and killed himself because the blank has as much force coming out of the barrel as a bullet. But that had to do with the gun wrangler not teaching him how to. They had a gun wrangler. The gun wrangler didn't teach him to respect the blank. Yes, sir.
Is that a license profession?
Is a gun wrangler a licensed profession?
In some cases they have, depends on what kind of weapons. For example, if you're using, let's say if this were a real blank gun, it's a semi-automatic, you have Glocks, Berettas, and so on, handguns. But if you start getting to full automatics and things like that, machine guns and specialty guns, then you're looking at federal firearms licensees and so on. They have machine guns and AKs and so on. But for your basic ones, a lot of times they don't. They're stunt coordinators and or the weapons wrangler. A lot of times they do have a basic weapons card, but not necessarily sort of a federal machine gun or a multi firing around weapon. So.
Question. It's come up 3 times, so I'm going to ask it here. Regarding the cover me actor, what is the legal distance for blanks to be killable?
Well, first of all, when it comes in, I was going to actually speak a little bit. I actually drew a little drawing and so of a bullet and stuff out before we were talking about Brandon Lee. When we're on set, and Andy and I went over this exclusively I know you weren't there because there's normally not spectators that we're showing this stuff to. We just do it on set as a habit. So when we're doing weapons and stuff, so if Andy's giving a gun at me type thing, we're always aiming off center. So one of the things that also wasn't brought up, the fact that he was shot, the fact is this is a rubber gun, it's completely safe. But the fact is that he was aimed like this at him. He should have aimed one way. So for example, right now, if there was a real blank gun and that stupid, idiots that passed this thing around to people and didn't check it, and there was a real slug in this thing, and the blank shell now made this projectile fire. If I'm offset, I would have just put a hole in the wall. I would have just killed my actor. The idea, though, is that actors were partially to blame. The fact that they were aiming straight on, not like this. Because cameras can't tell the distance. If I'm aiming at something, they don't know if I'm aiming right at them. That's a standard safe operation procedures for a weapon. You don't aim straight on, you're aiming off center. Does that answer your question? So obviously, there's some weapons also, when it comes to semi-automatic, this is a semi-automatic, your magazine would go in here, you cock it, and the gases in here, once it fires, the gases make this slide back and come back up, and the shell ejects. It's gases. When you have a revolver, this is a poor drawing of a revolver, but that's the one with the spindle. And that's what they had on Brandon Lee. They wanted to see these bullets in that shoot. So what he did is he took pliers, he removed the slugs, this off of this, dumped the powder out, put the slugs back on, the primer, which is here, they stuck them back in the gun. Oh, here we go. They're handing around, playing around, and somebody went squeeze, bang, bang, bang. Somebody squeezed the trigger, fired the primer, which was just enough to lodge this into the barrel, just enough to leave it there. Nobody checked it. And those gases later are what projected that. That's the way that works. So either way, no matter what, if I'm aiming in that direction, I'm aiming off center. I'm not aiming directly at the person, but there's certain guns that actually are plugged. So realistically, you can be right, you'll see a movie where they'll come up, sometimes they do it post, it's actually a fake flash, they will stick the gun right up to the person and do boom, 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 that kind of thing. So, or they do that in a scene in the movie, they're trying to kill themselves, they do a charge, a blood effect, a squib, and they do it literally goes off and so on. But like I said, they're plugged, there's no gases. Because if this were a blank gun like we were using outside, did everybody see the flash on that? That means gases and powders were coming out the barrel. No projectile other than just gases. But technically, I could take that exact gun, cock it with there's no projectile. This slug is not in there, it's just gases. I could take this and stick it next to this, squeeze the trigger, boom, it would just blow that across the room. That's how much gases come out of this. So that's why we never aim directly on, it's always off.
So what would the range on that be for actually hurting somebody?
Like maybe, I always say do like at least a 10-foot standoff because the gases dissipate very, very quickly in the powder. But realistically, even 10 foot, I still don't aim right at a person. I'm always, like I said, always off center. But like I said, it's always about safety.
There's different blank loads too.
Yep, that's a very good point also. Kevin said there's different blank sizes, not blank loads. There's quarter, half, and full. So, for example, it's all about the gases. Depends on what you're using. If a revolver, it doesn't matter. There's no gases needed in regards to recock it. But in a semi-automatic, you have gases in the round that eject it. So, for example, when I did a rehearsal before all of you got here this morning, when I checked the weapon I was using, I got it from our weapons department. When I got that gun, they gave me some rounds. They were quarter loads. So I put a couple in the gun, fired all, bang. One fired, but the next one didn't eject. It didn't cycle the round through. There's not enough gases. So I said, these suck. Turn it back. So I got now full, like half or full loads, and that's what we were using out there. I actually changed them based on that. So the different loads do different things for different sound, but a lot of times it's all changed in post anyway. You don't even use the bang in your production. A lot of times they add it later.
If you're using a return secondary or blanks being used, does that typically involve a gun wrangler and a power technician, or just
No, in that case, well now, for example, for more or less every action, you have a reaction. So let's say, for example, I'm the weapon wrangler or stunt coordinator on set, I bring some weapons, there's dummy guns and blank guns, and then I call my friend Kevin Bruckner and say, Kevin, I need some squibs. Meaning that, in other words, if I'm shooting at something, I need it to either that spark kit, you actually have to have a license for those spark balls. They're called zirconia. You can't just buy those from Walmart. You actually have to go through a effects house and with a license. So I would call Mr. Bruckner and say, Kevin, I need 100 dust hits, I need 100 spark hits. The zirconium hits, that's what produces that spark. Dust just makes dust, like cement, but when you hit like metal or things, that's what produces a spark, that's zirconium. So you have to have a license for that. So on that note, I would hire someone for the, let's say if I'm shooting at a wall in a metal car that zirc hits, they hire a special effects person. But if I want, let's say, a body shot, so I shoot Andy, and all of a sudden you see the movies, you see the bullet hits, okay? They're not wearing a vest and stuff, they're wearing, those are squibs. They're basically an explosive charge that Kevin Bruckner would put on you. It's rigged a certain way, you have to have licenses to get it, and they blow from the inside out with a protective shield. But it's all very, very special and technical, very specialized. So it makes it look real. Does that make sense? And so there's different sections of this, depends on what you need to do. But for just blanks, I just want to just, hey, we can go bang, 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 and that's all you're doing. You're not trying to do a firefight with, with casualties and hits. You don't need anything else. You would just need a stunt coordinator or wrangler. Please.
I may not be using the right term in liability, but if you are on a guerrilla set, how much of the liability is spread around if you're an actor or the cameraman or something like that, and somebody did not have the right permit and did not do anything right, and the police do show up, how many of the people that are there can be hauled away?
Well, I'm not sure based on jurisdiction. I mean, depending on your officers. Like I said, we were in Coronado when I showed up, and just as they show up and I'm giving them a spiel, they literally let them continue on that shoot. I was there for that. They actually let them continue shooting without a permit, me as a weapon wrangler. So liability-wise, they technically don't necessarily hauled us to jail. We weren't robbing the liquor store. They weren't robbing the liquor store. They just thought they were because they got a call because nobody called anybody. But as long as no one's hurt, it's basically, it's up to the discretions of the officers or the jurisdiction. But that's why I can't emphasize enough, always have your permits and your professionals in place, your wranglers, your stunt coordinators, your effects people, type thing in place, so you don't have to worry about those things.
Well, I'm not saying that I'm trying to avoid the permits, but if you happen to be one of the participants in what went on, or is going on,
Yeah.
What risk do you have personally if you say you're an actor and things weren't good?
Not, it's mostly production, because remember, you as an actor, I call you up, sir, your name's Bob. Hey, Bob, I need you for this movie we're shooting. Okay, I'm going to have permits, everything in place, and you show up and I didn't put anything in place. I'm just a low-budget filmmaker. I didn't have anything after all. I lied to get you out there. And you show up, me as the filmmaker, or like here, Mike and so on, if he calls you up under false pretenses, it goes on production. The actors aren't going to get hauled away, you understand, because of the fact that the production did something wrong. See? So now if you took those fake guns and you were driving a getaway car and you decided to rob 7-Eleven, that's a different story. But on a clean set and so on, you are not liable based on, especially if no one's hurt. So, yes.
The one comment I would make, because I do a lot of work with police officers, if you're in a situation like that, make it very clear you have no weapons, cooperate in any way they ask for, do what you're told, and you'll have less problems.
Yes, there's all those officers with their guns drawn up. I told everybody inside, everybody, get your hands high up. Everybody, put everything you have in your hands down. Everybody hands up. They won't even tell us much. They were just showing up and, okay, who's in the building? And I'm leading everybody out. Don't worry, it's a movie shoot, letting everybody know, and we explain later. But the fact is that it really went very smoothly, considering they had nothing in place, and we had all of Coronado PD aiming at us. So I used to actually have the gun, the 50 caliber I bought from a friend of mine in Texas, that Steven Spielberg made for Saving Private Ryan. It's a gas gun. It doesn't shoot blanks. It's a propane oxygen mix. It shoots, like a gun, but it's a mixture. The bottom line is, you can get guns. We have machine gun people I know locally. Gary Harper and some other people that are special cards and licenses for those kind of things. So yeah, as long as you get the permits we talked about, the right personnel on beach, those permits for the beach, as long as the environmental stuff is checked. There's a lot of stuff, not just for the city, but for environment, which is very important. They'll tell me, oh, can you give me some black smoke? Could you set a tire on fire? Oh yeah, so I don't touch that. We don't do anything against the environment, at least I don't. So the bottom line is, as long as it's safe, and we have the technology, we have the persons in San Diego, even though some of the, let's say the film commission and so on closed down, but there's a lot of great resources here. And I get calls all the time for low budget student films independent films, not too much porn anymore, unfortunately, but the other stuff, so all the different things, from different stuff, from big stuff to small, locally, the desert, whatever. A lot of them are just student films, but they're looking for a lower cost, and I reduced my rates, dramatically to work on it, because I love guerrilla shooting. Worked on some big pictures. The thing is, those are the best. Watching you guys and gals make something out of nothing. We have no budget to make it happen. That's what's very cool.
Right? Was there anything else on your?
No, that's pretty much.
Okay. Kevin, do you want to come back up and we'll take questions?
Actually, real quick, you had a couple more questions.
Yes,
real fast.
Are there any circumstances that would require any type of law enforcement to be on set?
Absolutely. We started covering that. We thought that we'd covered a little bit before. But like I said, when you have, and that's of course based on your jurisdiction, either sheriff or local PD, if they're shooting downtown, they always want to have a police presence. Even though there's film trucks, sometimes you don't have big budget trucks and trailers. You might just be your car, the van, your friend's car, and that's all. So you don't have a big footprint for production. So when you're shooting downtown San Diego or somewhere public eye, they will usually ask for police presence or law enforcement's presence there. But if you're shooting somewhere in a house, you have to let the local dispatch know that you're shooting blank fire, so when they get calls, they will not respond to them. But yes, there are certain times you definitely want law enforcement to be right there doing security, and also you get Rambo, you're doing a firefight in a movie, and all of a sudden you get somebody coming with their old Chevy behind, start grabbing rifles and want to join in.
1, 2, 3.
That was a crackle mine. If we turn that upside down, it's a claymore mine. Okay? Next, Cal.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, that's a comet. We call it a comet. If you're in the movies, that's called directional short circuiter. And you will notice back in the 90s and early 2000s, every gasoline explosion had these two effects coming out.
Or the war movies with smoking sand.
That's right. Okay, Gail, next.
1, 2, 3.
That's a baby version of a comet. Okay, put it backwards. Megan.
1, 2, 3.
And that's the big version of the crackling mine, and there probably would be a lot of huge. That'd look good on film. Camera would love it. Okay. But mostly we do that like a pilot. Okay. And last but not least, Gail, I think.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's the ending. That's not the big ending. That's the end of my best friend's wedding. Those devices are called cold fire devices. You can actually walk through and put your hand in them. Remember that you are 96% water. Okay?
So this next one, everybody, is going to be a louder, bigger, and a little bit thumping. So just
hold your ears, and you will feel the heat.
Yes.
In 3, 2, 1. That's propane. The camera loves propane.
That was fun.
Normally that'll be under the hood of a car or something like that. That's why we got to drain the gas out of the car. That's still that's residual propane burning.
So on, car explosion, so on.
Yeah.
How did you shoot those?
The first 6 were shot wirelessly by a company that Gail owns called Holotron. And they make a wireless firing system, and the last one was by my trusty old Hollywood. Okay, that's it. Thank you for coming.
No, you can go ahead and walk up there. That's fine.
Just get a little.
Good stuff. Thank you.